tidak dibenarkan menggunakan first basis. Walaupun tuan-tuan cakap ini fundamental golden rule in SME. And that's the golden rule.
As far as the strata management is concerned, there is no provision for any meeting.
Portion of the Tata which belong to developer, but there is a portion of property that belongs to on property belongs to us.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. I would like to welcome everyone to the 56th episode of the Strata Talk Show, brought to you by the Excel Academy of Real Estate. In this talk show, we would usually discuss issues and cases related to the management of stratified developments with various industry professionals. Although today is an exception, where we have a preview on the subtopic of session 2 of our upcoming Strata Conference, Revitalizing Strata Communities. With that, I would like to invite all of you to attend our upcoming Strata Conference, Revitalizing Strata Communities, on the 27th of July at Armada Hotel, Petaling Jaya. Joining us today, we have Mr. Raymond Ng, who is an Associate Director of Henry Butcher Malaysia, the Selangor branch. And he will run us through the content of his talk in the upcoming Strata Conference, which is titled Sustainable Approaches to Enhancing the Value of Stratified Commercial and Residential Buildings. If you have any questions for Mr. Raymond, feel free to leave them in the Facebook comment section below, which will be addressed at the end of the show. Without further ado, join me in welcoming Mr. Raymond. Welcome, sir.
Guys, thank you very much. A very good afternoon to everyone. Right, basically today I'll just like to share a little preview of what we will be discussing in the Strata Management Conference in July. Basically, the first item on the agenda will be a very quick preview on the legislation and standards of strata management, okay, in Malaysia. Basically, we are talking about the Valuers Appraisers Act, which talks about the rights of who can maintain or manage properties. Okay, then it comes to the second item, which is the Strata Act 1985, Strata Management Act 2013, okay, Building and Common Property Act. Okay, it talks about the orders and latest revision as at February 2012. Okay, the final item in this segment is the Malaysian Property Management Standards by the Board of Valuers. Okay, this will be a very quick preview. We will not be going very much into in depth on this subject matter. The next item that I would like to share, okay, is actually about knowledge management. Okay, here we are focusing very much on strategic development and training. Now, it is very important that we develop, okay, a culture, okay, a culture that is a continuous development. Okay, ethical approaches is something that is must in this industry. Okay, detachment mindset. Okay, then about relationship management, optimistic attitude, and also legacy management. This will form the development segment, okay, of the knowledge management. On the training part, we can go very quickly into what we talk about the in-house training, the outsource training, and also on-the-job training. Okay, all in all, the knowledge management section will take approximately 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, now moving on to the next item is accounting and finance. Here we will be talking about the accounting system. What kind of accounting system should be used? There are actually many systems available in the market. Choose one of your liking and make sure that you are familiar with it. Okay? Then moving on to financial reporting. Now, in my years of experience, we find that financial reporting is very crucial. Okay, we talk about the income and expenditure report, the debtors aging, creditors aging, balance sheet. How do you actually read the balance sheet or translate the balance sheet? Okay, your current bank balances and also bank reconciliation. Okay, now in this segment, we are talking about understanding financial management. Okay, now what I've noticed in that financial management appears to be pretty weak amongst Malaysians. Okay, and this is something that all of us have to learn if we want to be into stratified building management. Okay, and the final item on the financial and accounting section will be the cash flow projection. This is where we manage the tasks that we are going to do against the cash flow. Okay, cash is king. If you actually have enough cash in the bank, there are many things that can be done. Okay, so it's very important for us to actually understand, okay, accounting and finance. Okay, moving on to the next item will be the core of what we will be discussing in this upcoming conference, which is the strategic financial planning. Now, over here we talk about the first segment is the pre-development planning. In the pre-development planning, the onus is on the developer to actually come up with a logical service charges to be collected from all the purchasers. What we have observed is that many developers tend to shy away from giving a true picture of what's happening in the industry. So most of the time they will go way, way below, okay, the actual cost of management, okay, in order to sell their property. So for those who are in the property development sector, I would strongly urge you to look into your development planning and make sure that your planning or your financial planning or the service charge that you are going to charge is sufficient to operate. Okay, and most of the time I would say that it is insufficient. Okay, then once the JMB is formed, it's handed over to JMB, and the JMB has to figure out how to manage the stratified properties. Okay, the next segment will be actually the operational financial planning. Okay, once we go into the day-to-day operations, we need to know what to spend on and how much to spend on whichever segment that comes along with it. You have to bear in mind that the cost of service charges is very much dependent on the facilities and services provided, okay, by the developer, and there may be changes from time to time, okay, depending on the affordability. Okay, next item, we talk about the efficiency planning. How efficient is the building? Okay, are your pumps, machineries working efficiently? If it is not, then you will actually have to figure out, okay, what and how to get things done efficiently. Okay, the other critical area is about capex planning. Capex planning, we talk about the sinking fund that you're going to collect from all the purchases. Okay, this will form the so-called the piggy bank that you're going to have, and how much do you have, okay, for capital expenditure. Capital expenditure will look more like for repainting of the building, replacements of pumps, and we have even had the experience of having to refurbish lifts. Sometimes some lifts goes up to lifespan of about 25 years, and after that you will have to modernize those lifts because parts are obsolete. So all this has to come into your capex planning. Okay, so be very crucial when you look into your capital expenditure. Okay, and the other segment is about cost management. Cost management, in our opinion, is that things can be done proper or at a lower cost if they are all pre-planned. So your pre-planned preventive maintenance is very important to ensure that the cost of management, cost of maintenance is well under control. Okay, another glaring item that we are looking at, okay, in the strategic financial planning is fraud prevention. Um, as a matter of fact, this fraud has been happening throughout the industry for many, many years since the beginning of the property management era. Okay, fraud goes as far back, you know, as during the 80s, the moment the first strata titles were issued, or even before they were issued, there were funds that were missing, abuses by some parties, you know, and some people who even claim to have paid, but there's no record of payment. Okay, so that is a very, very important area to focus on and make sure that things are done in a proper manner and all transactions are recorded properly. Okay, so this comes to the major part of what I'll be sharing, okay, in this coming conference. Okay, now the next item, I have actually invited a very special guest, which I will not be disclosing today. Okay, but it will be from a financial institution that has actually been working with me to come up with a much more interesting way, okay, to having um, operationally viable methods, okay, in this coming industry. In the past, some of the banks would take about 3 to 6 months, to even change a signatory. And in the strata management, we actually have committee members being replaced every other year. So the moment you have stuck with your inability to change the signatory, the bank signatory, then you will have problems running the finances. Okay,
Right.
so this is where this financial institution has spent quite an amount of time sitting down with us in this industry to actually understand and created something that is, I would say, good for the industry, and hopefully the other banks will follow suit. So I will not be disclosing this bank at this juncture. Presentation will be done by them on the conference day itself. Okay, so look forward to seeing all of you. Okay, so that you can learn a little more on how this is important to us. Okay, then the final segment will be a Q&A. Okay, there hopefully we will like to have as many questions as possible because I would very much like to make this an interactive session because I do not know what you don't know. Okay, so you will actually have to share, okay, your concerns, and we will try to answer each and every one of your concerns.
Mhm.
Right. So this is a short preview of what I will be presenting in this coming conference in July at Amada Hotel.
All right. So before we get on to the actual preview, I just want to ask you, what, how do you personally relate to the topic of sustainable approaches to enhancing the value of stratified and commercial and residential buildings?
Well, I tell you this, you guys are very good in coming up with all these questions, and it's so difficult to answer. Okay, but I was very best to answer them. Well, anyway, I have been in this industry for more than 30 years. Okay, and
Right.
I would say that yes, it is part and parcel of what I do on a daily basis. Okay, and I focus very much on recovery and management of buildings that are above 10 years. Okay, that is the toughest part because in those buildings, things are really uh, probably not well maintained, or some of that are really out of the scope. Okay,
Right.
because some other people may have managed them and didn't do a good job, and then you have to come in and actually recover,
Mm.
from the past actions. Okay, because in the past there were no legislation governing property management. I mean, Tom, Dick, and Harry says, "Oh, they are property managers and they manage it to God knows whatever standards that they have." Okay, so what I actually personally do is that I am managing older properties as a major focus. Okay, so one of my property is actually more than 30 years old. Okay, and we are actually spending a lot of time refurbishing the said property. For example, you're modernizing the lift, we're changing the pumps, we are changing the pipes. Everything has to be changed. So if you actually have a well planned financial management, so you'll be able to have sufficient funds to do the replacements. And if we actually go around KL, JB, or even Penang, there are so many older buildings which were left dilapidated, not properly maintained. Okay, and I am very, very proud to say that, yeah, some of my buildings have actually won this Age Prop best managed properties, and they are 20 years old.
Wow.
So basically, it is like, yes, older buildings can still be maintained if
Mm.
you have a proper planning, okay, sustainable planning. Okay, that's why sustainable values are very, very, very important. Okay, the way we approach it, the way you manage it. Okay, so that's what I have to say. Come join us and explore. There is no 100% correct, okay, but it is one of the better ways to get things done on a platform where every one of us can share our experiences. Okay, this is one of the major learning factor from my past experiences. You learn from the grounds because they will never teach you in universities how to maintain
Mm.
older properties.
All
So
right, super.
I hope you'll be able to benefit from this talk, and also join us for the um, conference, and you'll be able to share more. Right? Thank you very much.
Mhm. Super, super. Thank you for that, sir. All right, now we'll move on to the actual part of the preview. Uh, all right, take it away, sir. So, Mr. Raymond, your first subtopic will be.
Okay, my first subtopic will be okay, the overview of the legislations, okay, and the standards in strata building management. Okay, this is where we talk about the Value Apparatus Act, okay, 1981, okay, which is known as Act 242. Okay, and the next act that we'll be looking at is Strata Title Act 1985, or we call it Act 318, which was latest revised on the 10th February 2020, 2022. Yeah. Okay, then we talk about the Strata Management Act 2013, which is Act 757, latest revision, 5th October 2022. Okay, then we talk about the Building and Common Property Act, yeah, Maintenance and Management Act 2007, or Act 663. Okay, and its orders and latest revision was 1st February 2012. Now, some people say that this may not have that much impact, but I would say, yeah, don't miss out on it. Read it up.
Mm.
This is where you can actually find ways to manage common properties. Okay, now, the other interesting part many of us may not know, which is the Malaysian Property Management Standards, okay, issued by the Board of Valuers, Appraisers, Estate Agents, and Property Managers Malaysia. Okay, this is second edition, okay, 2016, okay, in the year 2016. So this will form the part of the legislative and standards, okay, that we will be discussing. Right. Now, moving on, okay, on the knowledge management. Now, we talk about development and training. Now, what I have noticed in this, not only in Malaysia, actually, in most of the countries, okay, unless you study property management, okay, then you may actually do study what it takes to be a good property manager. Yeah, I was a building manager at the age of 25. Okay, so I was very proud of that because it was an international company based in Singapore. Okay, so but what I've realized is that you can be a manager, but what kind of manager are you? Okay, I actually was so happy about landing myself in that position. I actually called up my professor and asked him, hey, look, prof, I am now a building manager. Okay, and I thank him very much, for guiding me throughout the years. And he actually told me something, and he says, Raymond, mark my words, okay, you will not be a good property manager before the age of 30. I was actually quite baffled by what he said. He says, how can that be? I managed to climb up the ladder and become a manager at the age of 25. He says, okay, call me back when you're 30. Then you tell me the difference. Yeah. So this is where we talk about, you may be a graduate, you may be whatever, first class honors degree holder, but what actually comes in mind, okay, from experience is that there are actually three items, or rather four items that is very crucial in what we do in property management. Okay, I call it SEX. Okay, it's SEKS. Okay, and it's not SEX. SEKX is skill, experience, knowledge, and common sense. Okay, so what you do is that, yeah, when you first graduate, you may have a little knowledge, but definitely not sufficient. Okay, experience is almost zero. Okay, common sense, yeah, some of us have more, some of us may have lesser. So, but after having gone through, okay, the process of hands-on working experience, you actually realize, I personally, I realized that, hey, look, Prof is right, I may be good, but am I not good enough? Yes, I am not good enough. Okay, that's where we need to develop, okay, ourselves, okay, to be the top-notch manager. So in order to be a top-notch manager, what do you need to do? Okay, the first thing is work culture. Now, there are many types of work culture. There are many ways to get things done, but what is the most crucial one? In my opinion, okay, continuous development is very important. Okay, because things change, okay, from time to time, right? And eventually, if we are very fixated in our mind and we're not willing to go through a continuous development, we will be lagging behind. Okay, for example, I was just sharing much earlier. Okay, is that I've been looking at pumps that is beyond my era. Okay, I call it antique because I've never seen it ever before, and it's in one of the 30-year-old building that I'm managing, and it's like, wow, okay. I've actually sought the permission from the management corporation to keep that pump. Okay, yeah, because it's like wow, this is antique. It's probably my grandfather's era.
Is it because you have a sentimental value to it, or?
It's not sentimental, but it is something that I've never seen in my entire life.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, wow, okay, I would like to keep that, and yeah, I'll probably go into the museum one of these days. Okay, so in order for us to excel in this industry, okay, we must have the continuous development mindset, because every day there is a new thing to learn. Okay, and I would say I'm pretty happy to be in this industry because the learning process is lifelong, and there is no way you can say I've learned it all. So every day is a learning process.
Right.
Now the other thing is that the next item is about ethical approaches. Now, in this segment, I would say that yeah, it is how you look at things. Many a times people go into property management and says, okay, what is there in for me? You know, And even sometimes the committee members come in and say, what is there in for me? It's a voluntary job. Okay. And for me, it's like I look at it from a different perspective. I say, what is it that I can do to make this place better? Or what can I do to make this building better? How do we serve the community and make sure that everything runs in a proper manner? Okay. Um, I wouldn't say that all of us are into it. Some of us may be, but the way you approach it, I would rather say, look, what can I do to make this place a better place? So it is how we look at it, right? This is actually in relation to one of the topics that I'll be talking about later, which is fraud. Okay, let me see. It's fraud prevention. Okay, there are 10,000 ways that people can think about how to get away from being ethical. Okay, but I tell you, I do have quite pretty good experiences in handling that. Okay, so we'll talk about that when we come to that subject matter. Okay, now the other thing is detachment mindset. Okay, now many of times that we find ourselves unable to detach from the job that that we do because every day, especially those in residential, managing residential buildings, you are actually managing their home, and sometimes the problems that they have at home is actually brought to the management office, and they would expect you to solve them. Okay, let me tell you, it is not easy. I have in my past experience, I actually had an incident where a lady tried to commit suicide. Okay, and yeah, she actually sealed up her entire house with a newspaper and then switch on the gas in pipe. So how do we actually handle that? I tell you, it is very stressful because we receive a call from someone unknown. They say, "Oh, okay, this unit, someone is trying to commit suicide. Can you respond? Can you react to it?" I say, "How do we react? How do I know whether it's not a scam or not a hoax?" So it's, whatever you do, can you please go and check? I say, "Who are you?" It was just on the line. I said, so consciously, do we or do we not respond? You know,
Right.
uh, it was tough. It was tough. And I made a personal decision that says, okay, I will go in, go up to the unit and have a look. So I took my own time. I went up there. I could smell gas. So which means that call is pretty legit.
Yes.
Yeah. So knock onto the door. Um, I didn't dare to press the bell. Okay, because if you smell gas, you don't press the bell or don't switch on any lights. Yeah, that's
Mm.
the action that we were taught. Okay, so started calling. There was no response, so I called in the security guards, called the fire brigade. So they all came, and we managed to break down the door. Okay. Yep. And we went in. The lady was there lying in her bed. And all the windows were shut. Everything was shut. So we had to open up all the windows, air the place. And of course, the rescue personnel attended to the lady. Then eventually she was sent to the hospital. Okay. So about an hour later, the guy who actually called up, you know, uh, came down to the management office and thanked us for reacting to that.
Oh,
And
so
it,
she
it,
hasn't
it was
passed.
no, she was alive.
Ah, my God.
Okay, she was alive, and yep.
Mm.
So yep, they I think about a month later they came back, and she was well and healthy. So it is like, how do we actually manage this?
Mm.
Is detachment. Okay, you need to detach yourself away from a situation and think logically.
Right.
Yeah. So this is what we talk about detachment mindset. You have a very strong mindset to be able to know what is right and what is wrong. Yeah,
Mm.
and it is very stressful. This is one occasion where the the victim or the patient managed to survive. There was another incident where there was a complaint about some foul odor coming out from a unit. So by the time we responded, it was very, very late.
Yeah.
And we lodged a police report. We broke into the unit, and we could only find a dead body with maggots.
Mm.
Okay, so it is how we handle it. Seriously, there's no way to handle it, and you just need to detach yourself from that horror story.
Mhm.
It's something that you don't want to see, but it is probably some of us may have experienced this. Yeah. So detachment mindset, you must be able to detach yourself from that situation and walk away from it. If you are so much into it, you may not be able to detach yourself, and you may actually fall into depression. Yeah. So this is one thing that we always tell our property management. Okay, whatever happens at work, leave it at work. Do not
I
take it.
see. So in such instances, you don't react personally, but rather as the management, yeah?
Yes, you do not react as an individual person. You react as a management. You respond
Mm.
to it, and you do your job, and you get out from it. And you have to leave whatever that you see, in the office. Leave it there.
Right.
This is not only the two incidences I have gone through. So many experiences. I've got even a couple who got electrocuted. In the house.
Oh,
I've
wow.
got I've experienced people having suffered depression and jumping off the building.
Right.
There's so many of such incidences. So you must be able to detach yourself from whatever incident that you may have encountered. Some of the incidents may be good. Most of them will not be good. Yeah, and even if on a day-to-day management, sometimes we do have strange behavior of the residents. Sometimes even the committee members, we have different people with different mindsets. Yeah, so whatever happens in the office or in the condo or in the building, okay, once it's done, leave it there. Never bring it back home.
Mm.
Yeah, so that the next day when you come back, okay, you'll be able to handle it professionally. Okay, so yeah, that is a little on detachment mindset. Then we talk about relationship management. Now, this is actually one of the recent incident that I had. One of my managers actually tendered his resignation. Yeah, and it was like, oh, I was actually pretty perplexed by it because it's the fourth manager in 3 months who have
Oh,
tendered
wow.
his resignation. So I was kind of like, hey, what's wrong with this?
Yeah.
Is it that tough? Yes, it is tough because it's a very old building.
Right.
Yeah. So here we talk about the legacy that comes along with the building. Yeah. How do
Mm.
you actually handle the relationship with the landlord? Okay, with the people who has been there for such a long time.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So relationship management is very crucial because there's no one right way or no one wrong way. It's like get to know your customer, get to know the people that you're dealing with, and try to gauge them. Sometimes you don't have enough time to respond. Sometimes the customer will just walk into the office and start shouting. So the way we manage, okay, is pretty crucial. Okay, the way to step back and not get into unnecessary arguments with the customer is very important. Yeah. And in one of the instances, I have one big-time lawyer who happens to be ex-committee member. He barged into the office and said, I am going to sue you and sue your pants off. I said, well, what did we do wrong? So
Mhm.
you have to be calm. Okay. He may be shouting, but you just need to be calm. Tackle the issue. You know. So after talking to him, and we just discovered that his brand new BMW
Mhm.
was scratched by a cat. at the car park.
That was the issue, yeah.
Yeah, that was the issue. So it's like, excuse me, what can we do? Yeah, do something about it. It's my $600,000 car, and it's brand new, and it was scratched by a cat.
Right.
So it is up to you. How do you want to manage it? So it's not easy, but there are 10,001 ways to manage. So find a way to manage this person, and there is no advance notice. He will just come in and start shouting. Yeah. So yeah, that is what we talk about relationship management, the way we handle it, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Going back to the earlier discussion on this four managers in three months. Yeah. Basically, sat down with the manager. Spent about 3 days trying to decipher what is his problem, and he was under tremendous stress. He said, "I just can't take it anymore." I said, "What is so stressful about this job?" It's clash in personality. It means with one of the committee members, I just can't talk to him. I just can't seem to talk to him. And every time he opens his mouth, it's like foul languages. Greetings from my parents. Some oh, I tell you, it's horrible. So I says, look, why don't you just take a break? Yeah, think about it. Think about how you want to manage this person. Yeah, then we will discuss it later. Yeah, so we went
Yep.
into a so-called mindset development training. Yeah, and yeah, after a couple of hours, he actually said, "Okay, I retract my resignation." So I told him, "Yeah. So now that you have retracted your resignation, what are you going to do next? Because I'm very sure tomorrow you're going to put your resignation letter again." He said, "No, no, 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 no. I am very sure. I think I know how to handle."
Right.
First thing tomorrow morning, the resignation letter came in. I had enough, enough. So, so these are the small little things that we have to learn as a property manager how to be manage relationship management. So, and I sat down with that person, you know, that manager, and explained to him, okay, this particular individual that you are very frustrated with and it's causing the amount of stress. Have you actually analyzed his character? What sort of character is he?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we sat down, explained to him, said, okay, now this guy, his character is such. This is the way he will respond, and this is the way he will react. So how are you going to react to this? Yeah. So we went through the whole process. Okay,
Yep.
and well, thank God, it's been 6 months now, and he's still around. Okay, so relationship is very very crucial. Okay, so let's look at exploring how relationship management is to be executed. Hopefully,
Mm.
perfection.
And I guess it has a lot to do with psychology. Yeah.
Yes. In fact, one of the topic that I would recommend property managers to study is actually psychology, behavioral science.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so that would be very crucial.
In
Okay,
terms of managing relationships.
correct. But
Right.
ultimately, in this industry, or as a matter of fact, in any industry, relationship management is pretty crucial. Even in
Mm.
hotel industry or anywhere per se, is very important. So if you have time, do spend a little time studying relationship management or behavioral science. It will help you to move further in your career. Okay, then we move on to what we call optimistic attitude. Now, uh, many of us are born with a negative or pessimistic mindset. Okay, we tend to look at things from the negative standpoint.
Yep.
Okay, so it's another thing that learning how to look at it from the brighter side and always look at it from the positive side. Yeah. So a course that I will always recommend, okay, for most of property managers is what we call the NLP, the Neuro Linguistic Program. It helps you with your relationship management and your optimistic attitude. Okay. Well, if you have time, you can search it on the net. It's called NLP, Neuro Linguistic Program. Okay, this is where you actually understand how our brain works, our human brain works. Yeah. So it's not an easy topic to discuss, and just to sum it up, our brain works in three modes. We call it the uh, visual mode, okay, the kinesthetic mode, and the auditory mode. So that is basically how our brain operates. Okay, in a visual mode, we look at things from the physical standpoint, things that you can see. Okay, and yeah, from the auditory mode will be from the listening. Okay, what you listen and how do you handle things like that. Okay, kinesthetic is about feelings, how you feel and what the other party feels. So if you can actually understand how it works, okay, it will help you to um, manage this optimistic attitude as well as relationship management. Okay, for me, I always ask myself two questions. Okay, in order to be an optimistic person. Okay, I always ask myself, is this good enough, or is there anything else that I can do? Okay. So to sum it up, I have drawn up a statement which I find it very useful. Okay, so yeah, I'll probably share it in the conference. It's the day itself. Okay, it's called the four wives and one husband concept. Yeah, it's something that I've developed over the years. Okay, and it's a very good statement to use, and it applies to every single phase of your life, every single thing that you're going to do. Okay, so do come and join us. It's where you learn something extraordinary. It may not be proprietary. My own making is bits and pieces of ideas from many management gurus, which I felt that by putting it all together, it helps a lot. Okay, the next item on the knowledge management is legacy management. Okay, legacy management is there are two parts to legacy management. The first part is about the legacy of the establishment, the building itself, okay, and the legacy of the management. Okay, sometimes there are so many things hidden in the closet, okay, so you need time to dig it up, okay, and manage it. Now, the other part of legacy management is talking about, as what I mentioned earlier on, those people who jumped down from the building, those people who committed suicide, or those simple cases like those who pass away due to age or sickness in their units. Okay, how do you actually manage them? Okay, be prepared. This is reality in life. Okay, we all have to go on to the next world one way or another, sometime or another. So be prepared to handle that. Okay, that will form a very crucial management strategy that you will have. Okay, once you have all these things properly planned out, okay, it will be a breeze and easy to handle. Okay, now let's move on to training. Now, in the training sector, okay, this is pretty straightforward. There are many trainers in town to train you in whichever way that you want to learn. Okay, but in Malaysia, when it comes to property management training, there's only so far one company conducting proper training for property executives, technicians, and administrative personnel. Okay, those who are graduated from the universities, local or even foreign universities may not teach you the day-to-day operations of managing stratified properties. Okay, so yeah, perhaps yeah, I will review the company when you join us on on our conference in July. Okay, so at least if you need to be trained or you need to train your staff, you know where to find them. Okay, so I will share that company's name. Okay, with all of you on 27th July. Okay, so they do have a very comprehensive training, which is also HRDF recognized, where you can actually claim from the HRDF funds. Okay, it's very specialized property uh, management training. Even graduates, local graduates, find this training very practical because it's real hands-on training. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. What else do we have? Interesting. Okay, we talk about finance and accounting. Okay, in in the finance and accounting sector, okay, we talk about the very basic accounting system. Okay, what sort of accounting system will you be using? Okay, there's no hard and fast rule. I normally use what we call the CSS. Okay, CSS or the condo master. Okay, CSS is I use it more for commercial properties, whereas condo masters I kind of like it for condominium or residential properties. Okay, so nothing much to shout about because you can actually find more than 30 accounting systems which are integrated with the building management requirements. Okay, so yeah, probably I will share more of those systems available, but they are very proprietary. Okay, and yeah, that is where we are talking about. Okay, moving into the other segment, we talk about financial reporting. Okay, or some people call it financial statements. Now, this in this area is very important for us to prepare. Okay, the financial report on a monthly basis. This will be a minimum. Okay, so in that financial reporting, we are talking about the income and expenditure. Okay, this is probably the first accounting record that you will have to look into. Okay, income expenditure, how much is being collected from the service charges and how much is being expensed for maintenance. Some people or some accounting firms call this profit and loss account. So in what we do in stratified building management, we won't call it profit and loss because there is no profit and there's no loss here. It's about whether you have enough money to sustain your expenditure. So it's income and expenditure statement.
Right.
Okay, right. Now the next item is debtors aging. Okay, debtors aging in is very crucial because it tells you who owes you money. Okay, and how do we actually go about collecting the money? Right now, many people have a very bad habit. Okay, of not paying on time. Yeah, so you need to keep tab on that. Okay, and I have got experiences of debtors for the particular project going up to almost 1.5 million. Okay,
Oh
so
wow.
it's a challenge. It's a challenge because sometimes it goes all the way back from day one. You know, this guy, God knows why he bought it, and he did not pay a single cent. You know, up to God knows. I think almost $400,000 in service charge. Okay, so in what we do in property management or stratified building management, we got to make sure that everyone pays up. Okay, it is their duty and their obligation to pay. Okay, so make sure that you have this record proper. Yeah. In what we talked about earlier, legacy management earlier on. Yeah. Why I call it legacy management? Because in one of the properties that I was managing, I had this guy, okay, who claims that he has paid to the previous managers, right? But there is no record. There's no record in the system. There's no physical receipts, okay, to prove that he has paid. So he made hell of a noise, you know, and I insisted that he pays. And he says, no, he will sue us. Yeah, he will sue me personally. You know, so I told him, please proceed. If I have made an allegation that you have not paid, I have my
Yeah.
reasons. Yeah. And yeah, if you need to settle this in court, we will settle this in court. Yeah.
Right.
So as a debtor, I'm asking you, okay, to show proof that you have paid.
Mm.
You know, if you can even show me a piece of a photostated receipt, I will still take it as paid. You know,
Right.
so even that particular owner himself, he doesn't have any documentations. I said, okay, if you said you have paid, how did you pay? By cash or by check? He said, oh, I paid by check. Okay, fine. At least if you paid by check, then there should be a check part. You know,
Yeah.
and write to the bank, ask for a copy of the check.
Yes. Yes.
Then he refused. He says that I'm creating problems for him, making his life difficult. Then he actually started to sue us. He sued
Oh.
us. We went to court and we won the case because the burden of proof is on him because he sued us. Okay, now the
Mm.
question is, should we sue him or should we not sue him? It's $1 million question. Okay, so these are what we call legacy management, things that was not done by us, but done by other people. How do we actually handle legacy matters like this? Okay, so proper recording, okay, in an accounting system will be crucial. Okay, in the absence of an accounting system, because this is a very old building, there was no system back then, so we rely on hard, just old receipt books. Yeah, so we had to dig up all the receipt books and just to prove that there was no money collected, for that particular case. You know, the legal case took about almost 2 years. Yeah, and we finally won, and he paid up eventually.
So I guess eventually he paid more than what he was supposed to pay.
Seriously, we don't know because from the records from the accounting system, from the manual accounting system to the upgraded software system, there was seriously no record of payment.
Mm. But I'm just
Okay, so
considering the legal fees and all, like going up into court.
yeah, but no choice. But of course, legal fees cost us about 20 odd thousand. But 20 odd thousand to collect close to half a million, I think it's worth it.
Right.
Yeah. So we can't be going to court all the time because some of them will over about 3,000 4,000. So it's not worth spending 8,000 or $10,000 to pursue a $2,000 3,000 outstanding debt. Okay, that is
Mm,
where
right.
in this current laws, okay, you can actually uh, go to the housing tribunal to claim for whatever that is outstanding. So in this housing tribunal, basically we are talking about claims of more than 250,000. So you can actually go to the tribunal, put in your case, and let it heard. And the president of the tribunal will make a decision, okay, whether he pays or he doesn't pay. Okay, and most of the time, if your records are up to date, of course,
Mm,
the defaulting party will have to pay.
yes.
Okay, so it is much easier now comparing to the olden days. Okay, so even right now, I have just came across what we call debt collector, an official debt collector. So um, this is where they come in and they look at your documents and they go after the debtor on your behalf. And their fees are pretty hefty. They will take about 25 to 30% of whatever that they have collected. Okay, so
Mm,
uh, some people ask me whether it's legit or not to engage a debt collector to chase after all this debt. I will say that as long as the company has the proper license, okay, to do debt collection, I believe it can be done.
right.
To the extent, go through the management corporation, present the idea to them, and let them make a decision.
Mm, and no coercion involved, yeah.
Yeah, correct. Right.
Okay.
Okay, so that's debtors aging is very important. So make sure that your debtors aging is correct, and make sure that you collect every single cent that is owed to you. Okay. Some of
Mm,
those purchasers or the owners are pretty nasty. They deliberately delay their payment until after the due date, and then they come back and ask you for a waiver of the interest. Okay. This is something that I always say, no, there's no waiver. It's not provided in the act.
mm,
Yeah.
I see.
So there's no provision in the Strata Management Act or whatsoever act that the Management Corporation or the JMB can waive late payment interest. So it's something for us to look into, and
Right.
that's why you have to educate your purchasers. Yeah. Okay. We move on to the creditor aging. Creditor aging is what you owe people. Okay, your service contracts. Now, I believe that people who you owe people, they ought to be paid lah for a job done. Of course, if the job is not properly executed, then it's subject for argument. Okay, but if a contractor has done their job reasonably well, and they ought to be paid. Most of the contractors will give you a 30 days credit term,
Yeah.
right? So with that credit term, you try to manage your finances within that parameters. Okay. There's nothing to shout about in the creditors management, because most of the time the MCs would have paid off. I have come across MCs who are so bad in managing their finances, they owe their contractors months and months and months of service charges, okay, for whatever job they have done. Okay, so that is why it is very important for us to actually understand financial planning, okay, so that you have sufficient cash flow to do whatever you want to do. Yeah. And contractors, once you owe them money, the word will spread, and probably you'll end up with having no contractors doing your job. So that could be one of the reasons why many buildings are not properly maintained in Malaysia. Yeah, especially older buildings, because it's very, very expensive to maintain old buildings. And the moment you don't pay your contractors, the rates go up much, much, much higher. Right? Okay. Now let's move on to the next item, which is the balance sheet. Now the balance sheet is a very critical document to understand. It gives you a snapshot, okay, of the financial situation of the entity at that point in time. Okay, that means it tells you, okay, your current bank balance, okay, cash flow, your debtors, your creditors, how much you have in your FD, how much you have in cash in hand, how much people owe you. Okay, so do try to understand balance sheet. Okay, but once you have managed to understand balance sheet, then it makes your life easier, right? So I believe all of you have seen what the balance sheet looks like. If you have not, then I will share a preview of what a balance sheet looks like in during our conference. Of course, the moving on is the current bank balance. Okay, current bank balance is important because you need to know how much money you have in your bank. Okay, most of the time, in our bank balance, okay, we have cash, which normally about $1,000 where you use as petty cash. Okay, and most of the money will be in your current account. Okay, that's where the money is being used to run your day-to-day operations. And of course, there's another so-called sinking fund, which is most of the time kept in fixed deposits or revenue-generating deposits. Okay, so how you manage that financial situation is very much dependent on the next coming item, which is your cash flow management, okay, your cash flow projection. So every year, what I do is that I set out a 3 years plan, okay, a 3 years plan on what you want to do, both on the capex and the operations, okay, so that you will know how much money you need to use at the end of every month. So I do a 36 months projection. Okay, so if I do not need so much money in say the first 3 months, so I will transfer that sum into the FD, okay, so that it will generate a little more revenue. Okay, most of the time it's revenue, interest bearing account. Okay, or those who are not keen on normal account, you can actually go into the Islamic account where they actually do provide the profit share. okay, for the funds that you keep with the bank. Okay, so that is the Islamic concept, the conventional banking. So both do have revenue generating options. Okay, so what you do is have your 3 years financial cash flow projection, and then you will know when you need the money. Okay, you can transfer them back to your current account for usage, or even the term that you keep in the fixed deposit. Okay, is also determined by your cash flow projection. So that will help you make a decision how to move your funds in that perspective. Okay, maybe a little technical, but it's something that all of us need to learn if we want to be a good property manager. I've come across property managers that say, hey, look, I am a very technical person. I do not understand accounting, so I don't want to do it. I don't want to even put in an effort, okay, to learn accounting because it's difficult. I do agree, accounting is not an easy subject. It's mundane and very, very technical.
Yes.
But in order to be a good property manager, okay, is financing, learning how to manage financing is part and parcel of being a good manager. You know, and you guys have not realized that this valuers under the board of valuers is falls under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Finance. Okay, so the authority to manage is issued by the board of valuers. Okay, and the board of valuers actually falls under the purview of the Ministry of Finance. So, yeah, just imagine how important financial management is.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's move on. Move on to what we call this strategic financial planning. Okay, this will be the crucial part of the entire gist of my presentation. Okay, may spend a little more time in this area. Okay. Now, item A, okay, pre-development planning. Now, these are mostly for developers. Okay, for those who are from the property development industry, do take note of what is required of you as a developer in your planning for the future of a strata property, right? So, yeah, very funny story, just happened earlier this year. A developer called me up and says, hey, look, Raymond, I've got a property for you to manage.
Mhm.
I said, yeah, good, great, fantastic. When can I visit your property? When is it ready? I said, oh, it'll be ready in about a month's time. I said, oh, a month's time. So your CPC done. Yeah, CPC done. We just waiting for VP only. So how much has the developer committed to the service charge? 28 cents per square foot. It says, okay, fine, 28 cents per square foot. When can I visit your project? I need a copy of your SPA. Okay, and I need to do a site visit
Yeah.
in order to determine, whether I would want to take up the project or not. And
Right.
strangely, he says, why do you need to do a site visit? Why do you need this SPA? Hey, I'm telling you, it's 28 cents per square feet.
Yeah.
I said, sorry, 28 cents per square feet doesn't mean anything to me. Okay, I need to know what you have committed to your purchases. Okay,
Mm.
what are the facilities provided? Okay, and
Okay.
the quality, okay, of those facilities. That means the pumps, what is the brand of the pump, the lifts, what
Mm.
is the brand of the lifts. All these things does have an impact on how a property is to be managed. You
Mm.
know, and what I've noticed is that most of the time in stratified buildings, developers tend to give you the cheapest possible quality, okay, and oversell what they wanted to sell. Okay, now giving an example. Okay, the cheapest quality. Okay, I tried not to mention brands here.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, I have
That would be
encountered.
super great also.
Yeah, I've encountered some lifts from a particular country that is very, very, very cheap.
Okay.
Okay, and it's almost, I mean, compared to the average market price, it's about 30% below market price, of a reputable lift brand. Okay,
Okay.
so the developer, of course, went for the cheapest possible because they want to maximize on their profit. So
Mhm.
by the time a property is handed over,
Yeah.
right, and the lift start to malfunction, and technically there is a 24 months warranty, minimum 24 months warranty on a brand new lift, even during the so-called defect liability period.
Yeah.
The lifts were breaking down and there was no way to repair them. Okay, because it comes
Oh.
from a country that is, God knows what the hell they are doing. Okay, and it's like can't get spare parts. Okay, and the lifts were not working. So
Mm.
where do we go from here? So is your 28 cents sufficient? It's definitely not sufficient.
Mm.
Yeah. So that project actually went down the drain so bad, that I think it's, even if you sell it today, nobody will want to pick it up. Yeah. So as a developer, okay,
Yeah.
it is very crucial that you do pre-plan, and some of us may have the opportunity to act as a consultant for developer. Okay, some developers actually good enough to engage professional consulting firms to do a study, okay, onto the cost of service charges. Okay, very reputable. I have attended to some of those developers. They are very cautious and they make sure there is sufficient funds, okay, to have those properties maintained in a proper manner. Okay, those are the big boys in town. You know, I don't mind naming some of them. People like UEM Sunrise, Eco World, Sime Darby. These are the big boys who are very cautious and they make sure that you know they plan proper, right? So there's sufficient funds to be handled to do the day-to-day operations,
Mm.
right? So going back to the 28 cents per square feet thing, so I insisted. I said, in order for me to give you a quotation on what my charges will be, okay, I need to do a site visit. And that developer outright refused to allow me to do a site visit. I said, and he says, "Oh, you are a professional in this line. You should know that 28 cents is sufficient." I said, from my from my years of experience, 28 cents is never enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we exchanged some words. I says, "Look, okay, thank you very much. If you don't allow me to conduct a site visit, there's no way I'm going to participate in this." So I
Mm.
just told him, "Thank you very much," and I said, uh, "Don't ever call me again." Yeah,
So
because that is reality in life. Because how can you manage a property at 28 cents per square feet?
mhm.
I'm not saying that it is impossible, but if you're managing a stratified properties, probably a walk-up apartments with very minimal services, yeah, probably it may work. 28 cents nowadays, it's impossible because after that I managed to get a copy of the brochures and it's like, oh my God, concierge services, security guards, fantastic swimming pool, fantastic this and that.
Right.
Everything is fantastic, but at 28 cents is impossible.
Right.
Yeah. So if you are doing your pre-development planning, yeah, make sure that you plan it well. Okay? And if you are a consultant to developers, make sure that you do your calculations well. Okay. Many people actually ask me, how do I calculate service charge? I say,
Mhm.
that is chicken and egg situation. Okay. It will be very much dependent on, number one, okay, the quality of services that you are going to provide. Okay. Number
Mhm.
two, the number of facilities. Okay. And number three, the quality of the product that goes in. Okay, so these are the three very crucial. Okay, may not be exhaustive, but it will be the crucial components for you to look into when you actually do your calculation for service charge. Yeah. Okay. Any questions so far?
All right. We have a question from Miss Shikin Sharul.
Mm-hmm.
I think this goes back to your story of how like the older the building, the harder it is to manage, and there are basically more challenges to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess this question is asking like, what are the factors that makes it more challenging?
Most of the time is financials.
Financial. So
Yes. Financial is very important because most of the older buildings may not have enough funds. Okay, because I mean, you just look at a building itself. The lift has got about a 25 years lifespan. Okay, after which it will probably be the largest single expenditure. Okay, it
right.
will cost about 450,000 to refurbish a lift. Um, I would say high rise about 30 stories. Yeah, it's about 450,000. Okay. Of course, you can do it at 200,000. That's from a brand from a country that I don't want to mention.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Better not.
right. So yes, your lift has to be refurbished. Then your pumps. Okay, most of the pumps, if you're lucky, can last easily 15 to 20 years. Pumps are pretty cheap. Okay, because you can actually send it for rewinding locally, so it's not a major issue. Um, not that expensive though. There are so many brands in the market. Of course, I would love to go for a brand called Grand Force, which is about the best pump you can find in the world. But I will settle for a Southern Cross, a cheaper version of Grand Force. Or you can even get a Tsunami brand from many other countries. Okay, so not a major issue, but fairly reasonable. Okay, then if you're running a commercial building, your other major cost will be your aircon. Okay, whether it's a WCPU or
Mhm.
I think the older ones will most likely to be WCPU. Okay, if you do have a building that runs on VRV, okay, be very careful because VRV's compressor is strangely has got a problem with the lifespan of the compressors. VRVs are pretty new. Okay, so you'll probably find them in newer buildings. Okay, of course, the chiller systems, cooling towers, all this has to be maintained and replaced. Okay, AHU, um, also pretty cheap. The FCUs, most of the time is the compressors. If you have a chiller, then the replacement of a chiller will cost you about almost 700,000, depending on the tonnage. Okay, so these are the major expenditure that you'll be expecting. Okay, in one of the older buildings that I was managing, I actually replaced the incoming pipe. Okay, from last time I think it's metal cast iron pipes. Okay, I've replaced them to stainless steel, so I don't have problem with rusting. But that's provided you have money because stainless steel pipes are pretty expensive. Okay, or you may want a cheaper version if it's not highly pressurized. You may want to use a HDPE pipes. Okay, so there are many ways of doing it. So you need to know what's your financial situation. So I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, I think you have very much answered the question. Moving on, we have a question from Mr. Azman Ahmad,
Mhm.
which is slightly similar. And as you mentioned, you replaced the metal to stainless steel. I guess that is like one of the things you can do. But yeah, what are the other actions you can take to just make it more sustainable? Sir?
Okay. Uh, for incoming pipes, there's no way you can make it more sustainable. Um, some people do patching. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I will of course try to patch it as much as I can. until that one fine day tak boleh patch, then only you will have to replace it. Okay. So nothing much we can do. But from this piping system, especially the sewer pipes, okay, do have a regular maintenance because clogging will always be a major issue. Okay, do have your pipes flush regularly. Depending on the usage, you can go as long as once every 5 years. Have it properly flush out. Okay, so that it doesn't choke up and cause the pipes to burst. You see, most of the time the sewer pipes are the white colored PVC. Okay, and sometimes when it choked up, it will dislodge from the joints. Okay, so that causes you a lot of problem. So if you regularly maintain it and cleaning it up properly, it will last for a long time. You probably don't have to change it for the entire lifespan of the building. For your incoming, I would say it is still stainless steel, which is best quality, and no rust, no problems. Okay. Of course, developers will never give you stainless steel. It's very expensive. So if you can actually plan it well, yeah, change it to stainless steel. Okay.
What about
So far,
other areas of the building?
yeah, there are many other areas. It's very difficult to show you the entire big picture. Yeah, but if you do have questions, be a little more detailed so that we can go into a more meaningful discussion and into a much more detailed elaboration of what it is. Okay, but what I've done recently is that if your pressure for your incoming pipe does not exceed 16 bar, okay, you may want to consider HDPE. It's another good option. Okay. There's one type of pipes that I always discourage. Okay, APS pipes. Okay, it's a blue pipe. Okay, that pipe has caused a lot of problems, and once upon a time it was actually approved by Shabas. Then after that it was taken off the list, no longer recommended by Shabas.
Oh,
It's a very good pipe, but unfortunately, I don't know, maybe in Malaysia, it can't take the heat. It tends to split. The hairline split onto the length of the pipe. Okay,
so it's mostly due to the water conditions of Malaysia.
Yeah. So I find HDPE reasonable, so long as your pressure doesn't exceed 16 bar. If you keep it at about 12 bar, then it's a good option to have.
I see. All right. So, I think that's all the question we have. That's all the time we have anyway for questions. So, is there anything you would like to add and anything you would like to leave us with?
Well, I would say come join us for a full session on the 27th of July at Amada Hotel. Okay, there is where we will be spending more time dissecting each and every issue where possible. Okay, and come up with the best solution.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Raymond, for that preview and all of your sharing today, like your experience in building management and all. It was very interesting. All right. We have now reached the end of this talk show. With that, I would like to invite all of you to our upcoming Strata Conference, Revitalizing Strata Communities, on the 27th of July at Armada Hotel, Petaling Jaya. If you are interested, please contact our sales team or scan the QR code displayed for the registration at the end. Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Raymond for making it today and sharing with us, and as well as all the participants for tuning in today. We hope to see you in the next one and the Strata Conference 2023. Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you very much.
So, Ritesh, I don't know.
He said, 15 is already
There's such a thing. So we will enforce 500 million.
tidak dibenarkan menggunakan close spaces. Walaupun tuan-tuan cakap ini
fundamental golden rule in SME. And that golden rule
No. As far as the strata management act is concerned, there is no provision for any meeting.
portion of the car park which belongs to developer, but there is a portion of property that belongs to on property belongs to us.
Sorry miss, I don't know what
We said click is already like what's that? There's such a thing. So we will enforce 500 million.
tidak dibenarkan menggunakan close spaces. Walaupun tuan-tuan cakap ini
Fundamental golden rule in SME. And that golden rule
No. As far as the strata management act is concerned, there is no provision for any meeting.
portion of the car park which belongs to developer, but there is a portion of property that belongs to on property belongs to us.
Sorry miss, I don't know what
We said click is already like what's that? There's such a thing. So we will enforce 500 million.
tidak dibenarkan menggunakan close spaces. Walaupun tuan-tuan cakap ini
Fundamental golden rule in SME. And that golden rule
No. As far as the strata management act is concerned, there is no provision for any meeting.
portion of the car park which belongs to developer, but there is a portion of property that belongs to on property belongs to us.